The third meeting of the interim, our Tuesday, August 22nd meeting of the Joint Licensing and Occupation Committee. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Senator Adams, Senator Douglas,
Present.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Higdon, Senator Howe, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Present.
Senator Thayer,
Here.
Senator Thomas,
Here.
Representative Banta,
Here.
Representative Bratcher,
Here.
Representative Callaway,
Present.
Representative Kleins,
Here.
Representative Dixon, Representative Pfister,
Present.
Representative Flannery, Representative Gentry, Representative Hevron, Representative Herron, Representative Huff, Representative Jackson,
Present.
Representative Kulkarni,
Present.
Representative Meredith, Representative Palumbo, Representative Pratt, Representative Smith, Representative Timoney,
Here.
Co-Chair Cook,
Here.
Chairman Schickel.
Present. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum and are duly constituted to do business. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion.
There's been a motion made and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor use the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Anyone against the motion, say nay. Very well, let the record reflect that the minutes from our last meeting are adopted. Mr. Chair, do you have anybody you would like to introduce?
No, sir.
Are there any members of the committee who have any special introductions? Very well, we will move on to the, we're actually going to do the number 4 item on our agenda first because we have some very special guests here for that item on the agenda. It's my high honor as the chairman of this committee to introduce the ambassador to Cambodia is with us this morning, the ambassador to the United States from Cambodia. Mr. Ambassador, it's a high honor to have you with us this morning. Welcome to this committee. I'm very excited about this legislation, and I've been working with the bill sponsor now for some time to hopefully come to an agreement for this session on a way we can move forward. I have to tell you, I've visited several of these salons or shops since we've been under discussion, and have been very impressed with the character and hardworking people that are in those facilities. So welcome. Senator, this is your bill, so introduce yourself for the record. Have your guests, you can either introduce them or have them introduce themselves. We've allotted 15 minutes for this discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Schickel, and I really appreciate you allowing me to introduce this bill. As you indicated, you and I have been working together, and I really hope that we can come to some consensus about this bill. I think it's important to send a signal to the people of Kentucky that individuals like you and I, who do a great job of representing our constituencies and expressing our voice in ways that we think are important, can come together and work together for something that's good for the people of Kentucky and good for our nation. So I'm really looking forward to our continued partnership in this endeavor. Let me introduce our guest this morning. I have with me who's going to lead off, Miss Molita Soth. She's in the center. She'll be the first speaker, and you spell her last name S-O-T-H. First name Molida, M-O-L-I-D-A. She will be followed by Miss Kim Wan, Kim, K-I-M, Wan, help me out here, H-Y-U-N-H?
So close. H-U-Y-N-H.
H-U-Y-N-H. Kim
I think
Wan.
she has less of an accent than you. So.
She's a great English speaker, absolutely. She will be followed by Mr. Michael Carter. there at the end. Mr. Michael Carter will be our third speaker. And then our closer, I told us you could use those baseball
Sounds
analogies.
like Reds baseball.
That's absolutely, and the Reds are doing great this year. It's Miss Liana Wynn, and you spell Wynn Nguyen. Help me out here.
Y-E-N.
Nguyen.
Madam
Leanna-
Secretary, do you have those? Yes. Very well.
Liana Wynn will be our closer.
Very well.
Okay, so-
A few guidelines, like I said before, we had 15 minutes. Now we have 14 minutes allotted for this discussion. It's important when we have a big panel at the table to remember during your testimony, it's not necessary to repeat testimony of something that someone else has said. This committee loves facts, but we also love conciseness. Welcome to this committee. It looks like a very distinguished committee, and proceed with your testimony.
So, good morning. My name is Molida. I am currently a certified nail tech and also representing the AAPI community today. Honorable Chair and the member of committee, we would like to propose the new bill regarding the new policy in the nail industry. First, currently, board members are all must hold a cosmetology license. So first off, we would like the licensed nail tech to represent a board member because they know firsthand the concern of the salon owner and employee. Second, we would like to have a written exam in multiple languages such as Cambodian, Vietnamese, and Chinese, exam interpreters, unlimited test retake, and a cap in testing fee. The current regulation have removed the ability for all the applicants to immediately retake the test, but after 3 failed attempts, they must wait for 6 months and taking an 80-hour brush-up course in study. And if they fail another 2 more attempts, they will be banned for 3 years before retaking an exam. The exam is PSI system, a digital platform, and only offered in English. Individuals who are part of our community has been denied into our field due to the strict limit of examination disfavoring those who do not speak English as their first language. So this is not because of their lack of skill, but simply due to the fact that they do not read English as quickly as person who was born in the state. This causes a great financial burden, not only to individual but also to the state, leaving nail technician jobless and reliant on government assistance. So by banning them for a long period of time, which can lead to lose hope, unemployment, and necessary to relocate to another state, we can offer them the chance to try and contribute to the local economy of Kentucky. Last but not least, I would like to address the sudden salon closure without prior warning. Many salons has been faced immediate closures and excessive fine without an opportunity to rectify the issues. So by fostering cooperative environment that allow salon owners to correct the violation, we can create more supportive and a nail salon to help up in a high standard. In conclusion, we urge you to consider our request. We seek nail technician to be represented on the board member, exam in multiple language, unlimited test retake, and write a warning notice before a punitive action against salon. Asian immigrants are known for their strong work ethic. We work long hours. We dedicate ourselves to our craft. We pay tax on our earning, and we firmly believe in American dream. So our diversity should not be seen as burden or barrier by the board. Our burden should be an asset to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, allowing more creativity needed for cosmetology. So together, let us work toward a positive change. Thank you for your time, and I would like to pass the floor to Ms. Kim to talk more on the exam.
Thank you for your testimony, and I've read the bill several times, and I think you did a very good job of summarizing it. Introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kim Wan. I am a salon owner in Lexington and in Nicholasville. My family has been involved in the nail industry for about 20 years now. So I've had a front row seat in kind of seeing how the industry has changed and grown. But obviously this industry has started long before us. So just a mini history lesson for everybody. In 1975, after the Vietnam War, an actress and activist named Tippi Hedren, you guys may know Alfred Hitchcock, she visited a Vietnamese refugee camp with women. And she was trying to help them find a new vocation in the U.S. And they all loved her nails. So she brought up a manicurist, taught all these women how to do nails, and boom, we're going to fast forward almost 50 years. The nails market has now grown to over $10 billion. And more than half of all salon owners are of the Asian descent and from the AI community. So since we make up the majority of this industry, all we're asking for today, one of the biggest points, is that the exams be offered in our language. The current exams now test us on sanitation standards, steps and procedures in our work, identifying diseases, and preventing injuries. At the rate that the exams are given right now to non-English speakers, an individual is purely being tested on their memory of the English words and not on their understanding of the material that they're learning. So today we're not asking for the exam to be made easier for anybody. We're just asking it to be more accessible. And as Melita stated, after 3 failed attempts, you're asked to not retest for 3 whole years.
Yeah, ma'am, Melita did state that. So it's not necessary to state it again. Do you have anything else from your testimony? Because we're running out of time and there's some other people at the table.
Nope, I think that's it. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you.
Good morning. My name's Michael Carter. We're here today to try to get fair and inclusive treatment for all of the nail industry, which primarily is made up of Cambodian and Vietnamese immigrants, whether they be citizens or permanent residents. We have so many roadblocks that our state board implements upon these people, and the attitude and the understanding. We even have government officials that state the fact that the test should only be in English because tips are based on communication. I speak multiple languages. I don't read and write those. So it doesn't mean that our Asian community does not speak and communicate well with all of their clients in the salon. We need a seat on the board as the nail tech industry. From the Asian community. We need a seat to be able to help the board understand the needs and the difficulties of the nail technician salons. We don't have a voice at this time. We only have cosmetology individuals on the board, and we don't have a voice. The Asian community, Cambodian and Vietnamese, Thailand, they need a voice from you guys. They need to allow these people to have an opportunity to succeed in their business and be part of our community as wonderful individuals. They are hardworking. We do not have inspectors that are educated in the nail salon business. We have inspectors on the state board that come and bully these individuals and threaten them and hold them hostage until they pay a fine. When we go to a restaurant and we see a score of 81, we decide if we want to go or not. The nail salon is closed, and we have to suffer the consequences of that. All of these individuals lose their employees, they lose their clientele because of their reputation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we are out of time, but I am going to give the panel some leeway. So please introduce, and I'm sure we're going to have a few questions. This is very moving and interesting and critical testimony. Please introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony before we get to questions.
Hi, my name is Leanna Nguyen. I am a licensed educator and a nail salon owner, and also a nail school owner. Our nail community is asking for a better inspection procedure, transparent protocols, and for a nail salon shutdown to be the last resort after some mediation attempts. Lately, there has been more shutdowns of nail salons in the state of Kentucky than ever before. We have people behind us sitting here today that their business was destroyed from the shutdown and no longer are operating or working. These shutdowns has been a loss of lucrative tax dollars for the state of Kentucky and caused a big negative impact in the lives of the salon owners and employees. Every time a salon gets shut down, they are fined thousands and thousands of dollars and are often left in the dark for months. They can't call or come to the board office to discuss the matter. Most of the time, they are only left with the option to just pay the fine. We believe violations need to be itemized with fair fine prices. Salons should have opportunity to rectify non-severe violations. The board should have paper trails of due processes attempts before a shutdown is issued and should be pending for a week for review and sign off by another inspector. Our NO community are hardworking people who just want to make an honest living and support their families. We are asking the council to bridge the gap in communication, transparency, and better understanding of the NO community. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone here from the cosmetology board? I have to say I'm a bit disappointed, and this has been on the agenda for some time. But I'll make sure that they do come at a future meeting. I have, since we've been talking about this subject over the summer, I've gone around and visited some of these facilities in my district, and I tell you one thing, the demand of the customers is there. Boone Countyans line up to come to these facilities to get your services. So you are right. It's been my observation that you are hardworking people, and that the citizens, at least of my community, utilize your services. We do have a couple questions. Representative Tooney.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for presenting this bill today. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to tell a very brief story. It's going to be really, really short. When I was 5 years old, we had Cambodian refugees come and stay with us. And so if you think, well, 5 years old, I know I'm incredibly young looking, but that was back in 1980. So you giving the historical analysis there, I think I remember being 5 and being confused. They didn't communicate they didn't speak English, and I really didn't know what was going on. I was 5. And I asked my parents to say, what are they doing here? And as the son of first-generation American, my parents were immigrants. My mom said they just want the same thing that we do, which is a shot in America. My parents believed in the American dream. That's why they moved here. That's why many people from all over the world moved to the United States for the American dream. In a time in Kentucky where we're begging people to go to work, workforce participation rate of 50%, and we've got paperwork getting in the way of people working, I think this is one of those cases where we have overregulated something, and we need to take a look at finding a way where we can get people to work that want to work and encourage them and make sure that red tape's not in the way. Thank you.
From hence on, I understand the emotion and the happiness, but we don't normally have applause in a committee meeting. So I'm going to ask the audience to refrain from applause, and I haven't seen any signs, but we don't allow those either. Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been interesting testimony, and I appreciate Senator Thomas bringing the issue before the committee, as well as the dozens of people gathered here today to show support for it. I'm a big supporter of people who pursue a legal path to citizenship and come to America to pursue the American dream. And you are examples of that here today. My neighbors in Georgetown run a nail salon Brad, how are you? That's my neighbor, Brad. Well, good. So now I don't have to come over and bother your family and ask if you support the bill, because now I know. So there you go. But what I'm concerned with here is, we've seen from the Beshear administration across multiple cabinet agencies and multiple boards a desire to overly regulate, sometimes beyond what is prescribed by the legislature, and for the lawyers within this administration to, I guess, justify their law degrees and becoming overly litigious and putting up barriers to free enterprise. And I've been on this committee since 2004, and I've dedicated my service on this committee to removing artificial barriers to free enterprise. And unfortunately, this administration, and this is something you should know, you're not the only ones they're picking on. They're very anti-job. They're anti-free market. They're very anti-free enterprise. I've seen it across multiple agencies affecting multiple industries. So I look forward to taking a deeper dive in the bill and working with Senator Thomas and Chairman Schickel in 2024 to see if the barriers being placed by the administration can be fixed by the legislature. So I thank you for all your presence here today and look forward to moving forward on this bill.
Thank you, Senator. We have 4 people who have questions or comments. I'll ask the next 4 people if they would be brief because I do want to move on. The floor recognizes Representative Bratcher.
Do you want the entire cosmetology license to be in Cambodian? Is there a separate tech license, or is it the entire cosmetology license?
It's a separate license. Your cosmetology license requires 1,500 hours of education and then their own exam. The nail technology is 450 hours of schooling and their own exam, which consists of 2. One is a practical and one is a theory. One they have to do hands-on, the other one they have to do a written. And because of we only allowed that in English as a second language, most of the Cambodian and Vietnamese people can't pass that. However, we allow a 16-year-old immigrant to take a driver's exam in up to 18 languages, including Vietnamese and Cambodian.
I'm just trying to get the mechanism.
Yeah.
Is it cosmetology license required to be a nail tech?
No.
Just it's its
Separate.
own nail tech
Yes,
license.
it's its own nail tech license.
But I believe it's under the Board of Cosmetology.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
thank
followed
you.
under them. Yes.
Senator Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this is, I'll be brief. I read the bill, and this is more of a global statement and not particular to this issue. But last session, I brought up the issue of the pharmacy board because I think it's time that we start to look at these boards and update our membership based upon a different Kentucky economy. And I think that I would encourage this committee to also look at it's really a good thing for us to look at these boards and to update them based upon a new Kentucky economy. And I think that we should look at multiple boards. Yours in particular, this seems very reasonable. So I just encourage this committee to always look for new and innovative ways to increase competitiveness in our state because our economy has changed.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nemes.
Yes, I want to thank you all for being here. I know I'm from South Louisville, and a lot of you all work there and do a great job. And this is truly the American dream that sometimes we forget about. And I was here when the Board of Cosmetology was put in place. And I think Senator Adams is right. We need to update boards because I think when that was put in place, and underlying, I think the intent was protectionism for their own people that was already doing it instead of including who was from other areas or wanting to become cosmetologists or nail people. So I think this is a great thing, and I thank you all for adapting to what you've had to adapt to, and for being a great asset to Kentucky. So I look forward to backing this bill. And have you all looked into the interpreters that you need for when you're doing testing?
PSI is a software that already offers multiple languages. States like Texas are already using PSI that they can easily convert to Vietnamese, Chinese, Spanish. So it is possible and it is easy.
Well, there are services that can help, and if you need, let me know.
I'm sorry, Representative Flannery, and you have the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some brief commentary. I'm pleased to see this on the agenda today. This is an issue that I've encountered as a lawyer and a lawmaker. I've had several people contact me with the issues that you all are facing, so I am pleased to see this on the agenda. I think it's something that is very worthy of our time and discussion, and hopefully we can find a resolution. I guess lastly, I would say from my observations on all this, it just seems to me to be a very heavy hand of government that's being put on people that are just trying to work, that are competent to work, that are operating safely, and hopefully we can maybe loosen up some of these issues and not compromise safety to the consumers. Thank you.
Very well. And Senator Thomas, again, thank you for presenting this today. Thank you for giving me the bill a month ago to look at, and all our discussion we've had. I want the people at the table and the people in the audience to know they're well represented, and we appreciate you being here today. And Mr. Ambassador, what an honor it is to have you here. I think I know it's the first time I've ever had the honor of introducing an ambassador in committee meetings. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No clap. No clap. No clap. Get off my grass. Okay. Brian Miller, are you here? Is Brian Miller here? Come on up, Brian. We are going to the last item on the agenda, item number 5, dual credits for building trade students. This is another area which I'm very familiar with. Mr. Miller has been talking to me about this for months. We've had a bill drafted. I don't know if is the bill in the packets?
No.
Okay. We've had a bill drafted, and I'm very excited about this piece of legislation. Introduce yourself for the record, and proceed with your testimony.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Co-Chairman.
Hold on just a minute.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
clear the room first. It's kind of lonely in here, isn't it? It's kind of lonely now. I'm sorry, Brian. Introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
I'm glad we know how to clear a room. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Co-Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. My name is Brian Miller. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Building Industry Association of Northern Kentucky. I'm also the President of the Enswaller Building Institute and the President of the Covington Academy of Heritage Trades. I have with me today the Association's Director of Professional Development, Dr. Vicki Burling, who administers our proprietary school, both of them, both the Enswaller Building Institute and the Covington Academy of Heritage Trades. The Building Institute has been in operation since 1967. It's the longest and continually operating trade school for construction, skilled construction education under the auspices of the National Association of Home Builders, and we're lucky to call it home for us. We have campuses. Our main campus is on Circle Port Drive in Erlanger in Boone County, and our newest location is in Covington at 3923 Winston Avenue. The reason that we're here today is that as we go through this inflationary period, the biggest inflation pressures is the cost of construction. It's not easing. As a matter of fact, in our area, the greater Cincinnati market, you may have seen in recent articles, is that we are the highest rate of inflation in the entire nation for specifically housing. And one of the biggest drivers of that is our workforce costs and the availability of skilled tradespeople. That's just the simple economics of it. Those communities who figure out how to provide more affordable housing and attainable housing for its citizens are going to be the economic development winners in the next decade. We thank the legislature for taking good action in prior sessions to create dual credit programs in traditional public education. But we would like to see an equal footing for the construction industry, one of the 5 main sectors of need in our state. We believe that dual credit that you can have in organizations with KCTCS for industries such as nursing and others is a great policy, and it's a great policy that we could see extrapolated over the construction trades when it comes to licensure attainment. We would like to see this happen in the form of articulation agreements. We believe that us as a proprietary education foundation are best suited to determine what level of attainment that individuals that are either engaged as a senior or a junior in area technology centers operated by the state or other vocational education opportunities that are administered on the county school level or even the independent public school level would be able to gain dual credit for construction licensure, specifically plumbing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electric. And I think the reason why this may have not already happened is just because simply it's just a different department of government. It's not the Department of Education, it's the Department of Housing, Buildings, and Construction. The department are great partners with us and great friends. We just think that it is due time to move this concept from one department of government over to another so we can help to address the inflationary issues that we are experiencing with wages. It's a great time to be in the construction industry. In the last 5 years, just in our area alone, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, many of these wages in the 8 different skills that are our core component courses in the foundations of construction have raised have increased somewhere around 16% up to 23% over 5 years. We think that these construction wages put our employees on equal footing with many other industries, and it's a great opportunity for us to begin this dual credit concept now. Again, we are an approved education provider for licensure with the department, and we are a licensed proprietary school, and we're simply seeking equal footing. And at that, I will turn it over to Dr. Burling, who can help round out some specifics, and afterwards we'll be happy to entertain any questions or comments as needed by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Welcome, Dr. Burling.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about this issue. I think Brian did a great job of explaining what we're looking for. I would just add that each of the programs, we would develop an articulation that would spell out exactly what the student would have to achieve in order to gain some credit for prior learning in our post-secondary programs. So the agreements would be specific to the institutions and the programs that the students would be graduating from.
Thank you for that concise testimony. And this is something I'm really excited about. I would urge you to get a bill sponsor, talk to House and Senate leadership about it, because this is, I think, an exciting piece of legislation which is going to be very popular in both chambers. Are there any questions? It means you did a great job of explaining it. One last time, are there any questions? Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And the last thing on the agenda is item number 3, Obstetricians, Representative Wade Williams. There you are, Representative. Welcome. And my friend Bob Babbage, and James Morris from the Opticians Association of Kentucky. Welcome, gentlemen. Introduce yourselves for the record. I had a nice chat with you before the meeting about what you're here for. Introduce yourselves for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having us today. My name is Wade Williams. I represent the 4th District in Hopkins County, and I'd like my guests to introduce themselves, if they don't mind.
Bob Babbage here, Babbage co-founder for the association.
Kurt Duff, chairman of American Board of Opticians.
I'm Jim Morris. I am the executive director and general counsel for the American Board of Opticianry and National Contact Lens Examiners. We provide your licensing examinations.
Mr. Chairman, today I'd just like to discuss a bill that went through the House last year. We did go through our, went to the House floor. I think it passed unanimously, if I remember correctly. But what this bill, basically, this bill addresses that sometimes we as legislators address issues and fail to see the long-term implications of some of those safeguards that we put in place. Some of those that are, fail to meet the modernization of times, and especially as it pertains to licensure, as we've been kind of discussing today. But I want to talk to you a little bit about last year's House Bill 513, and I'll be supporting a bill or be sponsoring a bill this year that will have the same language in it. But it's basically a cleanup modernization bill that updates the fee structures from that which was established in 1994 of a flat rate of $75 for licensing fees for license holders that distribute ophthalmic materials. This bill will allow the representative board to adjust their fees accordingly on how they see fit. I could go into a long line of different accolades, but the ABO NCL establishes and maintains a minimum proficiency examinations and continuing education requirements in order to assess competency for opticians throughout the country. In general, the General Assembly has established appropriate minimum standards and licensing for this body. And without this passage, there's a lot of implications it has in place that the $75 fee just doesn't meet. They're kind of like the dispensaries. Dispensers are like pharmacists and nurses of the vision care and medical field. They take a prescription from an ophthalmologist and optometrist, and they dispense specialty eyewear in accordance with their prescriptions. And they're all often considered the first responders to the eye care patient. So this is what we'll be looking for in the upcoming year. I wanted to make sure this bill was heard or asked for it to be heard in this committee to meet all the procedural requirements and going forward.
Well, thank you, Representative. First of all, I thank you for your patience and for being so understanding. I understand that the $75 fee is that in statute?
It is.
Yeah, which is probably not a good thing.
Correct.
Does anybody else here have anything to add to that excellent testimony?
I do briefly,
Go ahead.
if I may. Again, Jim Morris. I wanted to let you know first, I'm an attorney in Lexington.
Well, we'll overlook that. Go ahead.
I know, and I walked away from my law practice to do this nationally, not just locally. And the reason is because of the gentleman sitting next to me who took care of my son. My son was born with a major birth defect in his eye. If my son had been born in any other state that does not have license or does not have adequate license, my son would be blind today. And I know that because the gentleman sitting next to me referred my son to the ophthalmologist for follow-up surgeries. He had 9 eye surgeries, and this gentleman next to me was the one that caught some of the things that were going on in the eye that needed to be checked, because you can't see your ophthalmologist every single week. But I had to see the optician every single week when my son was born. I'll just end with this. My son's best corrected vision was supposed to be 2800. The doctors hoped that he could see something in front of his eye, anything. He holds the world's record of the best vision of any child with this birth defect, 2050 uncorrected. I credit the man sitting next to me for a lot of that. The critical importance of opticians to the eye care industry must be protected, and $75 per license is not going to do it. You have absolutely not one optician opposing this bill. Not one optometrist, not one ophthalmologist, not one consumer. We've tried to get this through. We're trying to go through the proper channels. This is critical to the health, safety, and welfare of my son and all other children like my son. He's now 28 years old. He runs a business, does a great job, all because of the care of the opticians. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for that inspiring and moving testimony. And
No,
I'm so thankful that things did work out. Doctor, do you have testimony?
Well, I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
But it's pretty simple. You just can't run a business on $75. And it's been there. That's the lowest fee in the country by huge amount.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but we would never do that.
Yeah.
Today, set a fee in statute. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, in 55 we did.
Refresh my memory. You say it passed the House unanimously, and it just didn't run. Did it run out of time, or what happened?
We just ran out of time.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. Senator Thayer. No, you answered my question. Okay. Anyone else? Well, thank you all for being here. It sounds to me very reasonable, and I think we'll be able to, obviously, unless something I'm not aware of, we'll definitely be taking it up during the session. And thank you for being here, and thank you for the testimony about your son.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board. Thanks.
Very well. I believe that concludes our agenda. Do any members have anything else they want to bring up before we adjourn? Entertain a motion to adjourn. There's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, use the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, like sign. We stand adjourned.